Hi, Eric Gibaud, ericgibaud.com, and today I'm going to try to answer a question that many people ask themselves or ask me or on social networks. And the big question is, how do I choose a lens? What are the criteria to get the best lens for what I need? So I'm going to give you several points and how to decide what lens could be okay for you or not. So let's start. The first question many people ask themselves is getting a zoom lens or a prime lens. Well, the zoom lens has many advantages when you cannot move yourself because you can reframe easily. But as I say, it's when you cannot move your body. Why? Because basically it's really hard to have the best quality from beginning to the end of a zoom lens. But more than this is the aspect of your reportage or the series of pictures. If you're on 20mm and then on 29 and then on 32 with the same framing, it means the distance from the camera to the subject is different, and that means the aspect is different. So when you have a zoom lens, you should use it as 3 or 4 prime lenses. Let's say 24 to 70mm, use it at 24, 35, 50, 24, 28, 35, and 50 and 70, for example, or just 24, 50, and 70. But use it this way. You just move yourself, but you you place the zoom on one focal length, and the whole series did the same. So the aspect is more coherent, okay? The exception is if you cannot move yourself. Let's say you are doing wildlife, and if you move, the animal will run away. So obviously you will do the framing using the zoom. Or let's say you are at a concert and you cannot move because they don't let you move from where you are. So you will play with the zoom to frame properly as you want. So in this case, yes, that's logical to have a zoom lens. But this is important to decide. Do you want a fixed lens, or you want a prime lens or a zoom lens? Second, what focal length to buy? There are two ways. One is the person who wants to extend the amount of lenses or the angle he covers. For example, you have several lenses and you say, yeah, but I don't have any tele-lens, and sometimes I do wildlife or things that are really away. I need a tele-lens. Or the other hand, I want to do a wide angle. So you look what you have, what you miss, I would say, and what you would like to complete in your kit. Second option, you have a zoom lens, but you want to have a prime lens. Let's say you have 24 to 70 again, and you say, yeah, but I would like to have just prime lens. Do I buy 24, 35, 50, 70mm? What should I buy to replace my zoom lens with a prime lens? Well, it's easy. You just open all your pictures you made with this lens in your Lightroom or whatever software you use, and then you check the EXIF. What is the position of your zoom you most use? Use the most. Let's say you often close to 35, maybe 32, 37. Well, probably 35 would be the right focal length. Or the other hand, I'm more likely to be close to 24 or 70, and then you decide. But before rushing and buying a new lens with this probably a right focal length for you, first you take a tape to stick it on your zoom to a fixed focal length. Let's say you're 24 to 70, you suspect 35mm is the right focal length for you. Then you stick this tape on your lens, so you cannot even move it accidentally. And during a week, you just use your lens as a fixed lens, as a prime lens, okay? And see if it's okay. If you have a doubt between two, well, after a few time, a week and then another week, or 2 days and another 2 days, you lock it on another focal length and you compare how you feel, you look at the result, all this. This way you're more likely to buy the right focal length to replace your zoom with a prime lens. Following points to decide: the maximum aperture. Some people, they say, I need a luminous lens. I think this is a wrong term. It was right when we were doing film photography, when you could not change the film and change the ISO during the whole roll of film. So obviously, yeah, to gather more light, often you need to open more the aperture. But with ISO that are really a lot better than film regarding high ISO, you can bump up the ISO. So for me, it's not called luminous. It's more a matter of how shallow do you want the depth of field. You want it really shallow, really short, or on the other hand, you don't mind having a really long depth of field, everything in focus, because that's important, because you may save a lot of money. It's not the same price a 2.8 aperture than 1.2 or 1.0 or 0.95. That's not the same price. It's not the same size. It's not the same weight. So don't think that if it's a really large aperture, it will solve everything. If you're going to buy 1.2 and always use it on f8, you can save a lot of money getting an f4 2.8 and size all day. So it's important to know why you decide on this aperture. Second, what type of aperturing? Do you need clickable? Do you need not clickable? Obviously, I speak if you have the clickable on the lens, okay? This is a film cine lens, and as you can see here, it's not clickable, it's continue, okay? This one is clickable. So let's say you want to do a video, you probably want to have a declick lens. And if you do photography, you probably want clickable. Some lenses have also a small switch and you have from click to no click, okay? So it's important to decide what's good for you or not good for you. Also, there are some lenses, there is no aperturing, it's directly from the body of the camera. In this case, yes, it is clickable because it's you move from manually the small wheel, okay? So it's something it's important to know. Then, do you want manual focus or autofocus? For some people, manual focus is no problem. Let's say you do a landscape or portrait or product photography or macro. It can be manual, it doesn't really matter. If you do action photography, then you probably want autofocus because maybe it's hard for you to follow and focus at the same time in manual. We've done it for many years, but for some people it's difficult. So yeah, it's probably better autofocus. But how good is the autofocus? Do you need really fast autofocus, silent motors, fast motors? What do you need? So it's important to evaluate the quality of the autofocus system with this lens to see if it's the right lens for you if you need autofocus. If you use manual focus, there are some tools like focus picking, like magnifying view, so you can really focus more precisely. So in manual, but it's a criteria you need to think about to know if it's okay for you. And by the way, if you want to help me, I can also help you too. I've activated the member area of my YouTube channel. There I don't speak about gear, just about photography, tuition, technique, all this. So if you're interested, there's a join button just below to get exclusive videos just for members. Also, I've affiliated links in the description. Please use them. That really helps me. And by the way, if you use the link of K&F Concept or Luminar Neo, once there on their website, you use the code ERIC10 and you get a 10% discount. Thank you so much. That really helps me. So let's carry on. Point 6. The situation of use. How are you going to use this lens? Maybe you're going to use it at home or in a studio, or you're going to use it in the jungle or in the desert with a lot of dust and a lot of humidity, or a lot of close to the sea with splashes, all that. So do you need a weather sealed or splash proof, dust proof lens or not? If you need it, don't forget that the body needs to be proof also. If it's not splash proof and dust proof, then the water will get in or the dust will get in anyway. So if you're going to pay extra for a weather sealed dust proof, splash proof lens, well, your body needs to be the same. Unless you tell me no, because right now I've got this body, but next year I change it, so I already buy a lens that is weather sealed, okay? So, well, this is something you must estimate if you need it or not. So it's also a criteria to pick a lens or not. Then I think the most important part is the one most people don't speak about and they forget about, especially when they're starting with photography. Very often they get the zoom lens, a kit lens, and they want to do some portrait, and someone tells them, you must get a 50mm 1.8, especially when they are on APS-C. And they think, oh, that's okay, I want a 50mm 1.8. Yes, but they're not all the same. Some are better, some are worse, some have different looks. And it's not a matter of better or worse. It's a matter of better or worse for what you want to do and for your taste. So there are different aspects. For example, sharpness. Do you need sharpness from border to border? Well, if you do landscape, probably you do. Do you do, I don't know, painting reproduction? Yes, you need sharpness from border to border, so that's important. Corners, border, center, everything. But if you do portrait at maximum aperture, the corners and the borders, they fall in the out of focus part of the picture. So even if they're not that sharp, you will never notice it. What's important is where the face is. If it's in the center or in the thirds, that's the important part. So sharpness may be really important for some people, like product photography or landscape, as I said, but for others, it's not that important. And some people, they don't want a lens that is too sharp. They want to have this richer look, and they don't want to have a lot of sharpness. So it's important you think about this. Then the famous bokeh. So many people confuse bokeh with shallow depth of field. Bokeh is the out of focus part. Some people think that sometimes you don't have bokeh. You always have bokeh, even if you do hyperfocal. Hyperfocal, it means sharp from first part to not sharp, I mean in focus from close to infinity. But this is calculated depending on the size of reproduction. That was really thought for when you were doing film photography, 24 by 36, and you would print at 30 by 40 centimeters, more or less, around this, and everything would be in focus. But if you get this picture of 30 by 40 centimeters and you make it 3 by 4 meters, you will notice that not everything is in focus. So it's so important that, yes, there is always an out of focus part. Sometimes you don't see it because the reproduction is too small, okay? So you must take this into account. But normally people, when they speak about bokeh, they speak about shallow depth of field and the out of focus part. But you must look at this bokeh. How does it look? Is it really creamy? Is it with swirl? Is it with bubble? Is it really noise transition? Or do you really see things that are strange? Do you have a round point of lights, or they are oval, or they are with the small sides? All this you need to check to see if the bokeh is as you like, because not every lens is giving the same look of the bokeh. So I recommend you check other pictures or the website of the maker to see sample of pictures, to see how the bokeh is, to see if it's the one you like or not. Sometimes it may be really distracting if the bokeh has really funny, fancy things, strange things, or no, sometimes it's different, something you look for. But it's so important you are aware that bokeh is not always the same. The aspect of bokeh is really different from a lens to another. So it's important you check that you like it. Then you have the color the lens is giving. So in film, that was really important. Film photography, it was really important because you could not actually change it. But when you look at digital, you can correct the white balance after. But still, it's important. We'll see after with the coherence in several lenses, okay? But if you make a picture of a white piece of paper, you lock the white balance, and you will see that from a lens to another, one may look a bit warmer or cooler. It is the color that the lens itself is giving. So that may be important to you, so check it also. Then we have the contrast. Some people like something really contrasty, and others no, they want something that is more soft, not that contrasty all there. So it's important to check it. Micro contrast is also important. Some people really like to have this aspect of picture that just like boom, like this. And others, they want something more cool, more romantic, more tranquil, or I don't know how you say it, okay? So it's important to check this. And also the flare. Do you want a flare that is really big ray of light, or do you want a flare that is an invasion of light, or do you want some few spots or rainbow flare, or a more reddish flare? All this, it's important. If you're going to work against light or with light sideways, you should check how the flare is going to appear, if it's a problem, if it's something you want or something you don't want. So there are so many aspects. Also chromatic aberration, many things. How soon is diffraction entering? All this, it's important to check all this to get the right aspect of your picture. So just don't think a 50mm 1.8 is a 50mm 1.8. There are many types. I said this focal as an example, but there are so many types. So it's important you have a look at the aspect to make the right decision. Then we arrived at point 8, coherence of lenses. Today you want a new lens for portrait, okay? But you know that this summer you will travel and you will also do some landscape or some street photography. And maybe you don't want the same look, and doesn't really matter, but maybe you want exactly the same look. Doesn't matter the focal length you are using. You want to have the same aspect of sharpness, the same aspect of out of focus, the same bokeh look. So you want something that looks similar. This is why it's important to decide, do they have several lenses with the same look? Here I've got the Siri nice snipers. 23, this is for Fujifilm, but this is for other brand, okay? Is it 23mm, 33 and 56? I can use any of them, I've got the same aspect, okay? So that's important if I need coherence. For example, here I've got also Cine lenses by Meiki, 25 and 65mm. They look exactly the same when you look at the aspect. Or here I've got these Viltrox, the 27, 75, and 13mm, 27 and 75, they are 1.2, and the 13 is 1.4, but the look it gives are similar. So it's important because if you buy as a one lens, it doesn't really matter with the rest. You don't need rest to have the same look, doesn't matter. But if you know that in maybe a 2 month time, 3 months time, you will add some more lenses to your kit and you want to have the same aspect, the same look, the only difference will be the focal length, it's important to check if they have more lenses that give the same look. That's really important. Then point number 9, the mount. These are all three, I got all three of these, they are for Fujifilm, but I've got more for other brands, okay? But maybe you love the look of a lens, you need to check if it exists for your camera. So if it's an older lens or reflex lens, you have some adapters. But among mirrorless, you cannot adapt because the distance between the sensor and the back lens is too short. So it means that you need to get the right mount for your camera. So if you are in love with this lens, it doesn't exist for your camera, that's a problem. You simply cannot have it. So before dreaming about a lens, check if it's possible to mount it on your camera, okay? There are some brands like Canon, now they've opened the possibility of autofocus lenses for APS-C, but not for full frame in RF mount. So if you want it on RF mount, autofocus, forget it, it needs to be Canon. But you could check a manual one, because yes, some lenses are manual, and they have RF mount and you can use them on a full frame by Canon. This is just an example. So it's important to decide if this lens can be mounted on your camera or not. Otherwise, you're dreaming about something you cannot have anyway. Then last point, the price. The price is important. Not because you can or cannot pay for it. That obviously, if you cannot, well, that's not the lens for you, even if it's a great lens, and that's it. No worry and no cry, and doesn't matter. That's it. But the matter is it worth paying for that? Paying that money for that lens? Is it a lens you're going to use once and never again? Well, then pay as less as you can. Are you a person that say, well, I don't have any telelens in my bag, let's get one just in case? I don't have any ultra wide angle, let's buy one just in case. If you're not going to use it, maybe you could spend this money on something else. So try to evaluate if it's worth spending the money, if you're going to use it or not. You do what you want with your money, obviously, but let's be logical. If it's a lens that is a bit crazy, like a circular fisheye, for example, are you going to use it from time to time or very often? If you're going to use it from time to time, get a cheap one and that's it. Even if it's not the best quality. But if it's something you're going to use for a project that is, something you're going to spend a lot of time and many pictures with it, then get the one you can afford and that looks the best to you. Okay, sometimes the cheapest one is the one that looks best to you. Okay, Sometimes some people are reluctant to buy third-party lenses when they see the price is low. They think low price means low quality, but it's not always like this. So also evaluate if this lens, it is not as expensive as that one, would still be really okay, and you save some money. So price is also important. So that's it. I think these are the 10 points you need to check before deciding what lens to buy. Obviously there are some more, okay, but that gives you an idea and an orientation. So I hope you like this video. Thank you for watching it. If you feel it may interest other people, please share it on social network. If you have not done it yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, the small button down here and also a small bell. If you click on the bell, you will get notified when I upload a new video. My website, no, by the way, I've activated the member area of my YouTube channel. Exclusive video. I don't speak about gear, just about photography, tips, making of, all this. So there's a join button below if you want to become a member and check exclusive video. I also leave you my website, Gibaud.com. If you have any question, can leave a comment below. Also leave you in description affiliated links. Please use them. That really helps me. By the way, if you use the link of K&F Concept or Luminar Neo, once on the website, use the code ERIC10 and you get a 10% discount. Thank you so much, that really helps me. I also leave you my PayPal account in case you wanted to make a donation. Thank you very much, please take care of yourself and see you soon. Bye!